Working at liquor store.
Yeah. All right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and those watching on TV. First order of business is public hearing. Request for permit. Yours?
So we'll go ahead and call this hearing to order at 7 p.m. on June 13th, 2022 in the Board of Aldermen meeting room at Herman City Hall. And this is to consider the application for a conditional use permit filed by Beth Osler and the Bar Bin at 114 East 4th Street for liquor sales for outdoor consumption in the C1 Commercial District for more than 12 operating days per year. This application was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and a motion was made and seconded and approved to go ahead and recommend to this board that the conditional use permit be granted. That was at their meeting on June 1st. And notice of this meeting and the Planning and Zoning meeting was given in the paper. Yes, there's this the one that we talked about.
Yeah, this one was.
Okay. So published in the Herman Advertiser Courier newspaper. When the hearing is concluded, the Board of Aldermen can provide its decision within 15 days if it finds that the requirements are satisfied, and the Board of Aldermen may impose conditions to ensure that it's not detrimental to the health, safety, morals, comfort, and welfare of the citizens, that it won't injure the use and enjoyment of neighboring property, that there are adequate utilities, roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities for this use, that the use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties, that it will not cause traffic congestion, and that the requirements for public services such as police and fire protection will not be too demanding. The board can grant this conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. This hearing is on the record and a transcript is being prepared.
Yes.
We have our court reporter present here via Zoom or some online thing. And the applicant can go ahead and present their case. If there are any documents they want the board to rely on, those are invited to be submitted. If they have any witnesses whom they desire to speak, that is also allowed. The board may ask for testimony from others present in the room. The mayor reserves the right to limit each speaker's time. And then the board may deliberate, and then it shall vote on the issue. Whether it is approved or denied is carried by a vote of the majority of the board members who are present this evening, including Susan. She's considered present for these purposes. And so exhibit for tonight's hearing, we have the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes as exhibit 1. We have the conditional use application, conditional use permit application as exhibit 2. And we have the properties within 185 feet of 114 East 4th Street who were given notice by mail, right?
Yes.
Of this hearing, inviting them to come. That'll be exhibit 4. And we have the affidavit of publication from the newspaper confirming that this hearing was advertised in the newspaper. That will be exhibit 5. And we have a copy of the notice of public hearing that appeared in the newspaper. That will be exhibit 6. And
I think in the front of your folder there's a copy of the photo in the very front.
oh yeah, and the entire Code of Ordinances of the City of Herman, Missouri will be exhibit 7. Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept all of these exhibits into the record?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And is our applicant here? No?
Were you in contact with her for, did she say anything about,
She didn't say that she'd be here, no. She had noticed.
What's the name of this bar?
it looks like Marvin.
Okay.
She was at the P and Z one. Barvine.
Marvin, okay, thank you. As in like Vino?
I think that's the route.
Is anybody here to speak either in favor of or in opposition to this application?
So, it's just basically, she is asking for the same thing that her predecessors had at that location. We had a discussion at the planning and zoning meeting about the capacity of the outdoor seating, and we found Lee's original recommendation, which is 26, rather than, I think what she has written on her application was 48.
She had 20 top, 20 below.
Okay.
The total occupancy determined by the previous building inspector was 26 total.
26 total. So we informed her of that, and she said she would comply with it. I think you see on her application where she's not asking for outdoor music, am I correct, Cory?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I don't think she was asking for anything extraordinary out of what we had approved before.
Basically a continuation of what was going on, except for changing the name of the establishment.
And you may go ahead and vote to approve or deny. I assume you're going to approve her application, even though she didn't find it fit to be here to describe what she was asking the city for, so.
Any questions? Discussion?
Susan, was there any, when she was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, did she state anything that she planned on doing differently than the previous owners?
No.
I'm good.
And I heard you said that the seating is revised. What did it go to?
26 total.
Okay, that includes top and bottom?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
I move to approve if I can,
I have a motion.
with the revised seating.
I have a motion to approve with the revised seating. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, we'll move on. Mayor's report, very short, of course. I'm hoping that everybody is seeing the progress that's going with Washington Street. So thank you for your patience, but they're getting her done. And hopefully in the near future, everybody will be a happy camper because it'll be a nice street to drive on. Don't forget the pool's open. The weather is right for our city pool. And speaking of the heat, if you have elderly neighbors, please check on your neighbors. If you have animals outside, please make sure that they're watered. And also, because of the heat, just be cautious with your thermostats because, you know, the cost of the utilities. Anyway, that's all I have. City Administrator report.
So, just for the public, I would make note that we just held our second budget workshop, and I won't go over all of those details, but I will just say that, you know, the city's budget is in a good fiscal position, and we've been conservative and will continue to be just because of the nature of the economy, but everything is well in the black. The good news that I delivered was that, you know, now that we have all the fiscal year numbers and for sales tax, that we have finished the year with a 15% increase over last year in general fund alone, and that was $92,000. Something I did want to mention that I've just recently found out is that MIRMA will no longer be able to provide all of the pool members with cyber liability insurance. It's too expensive. So they are helping facilitate the city's getting quotes from another business or two. And when I get those, it could be somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. And when we actually get those numbers, then I'll bring that to you and let you all decide if you want to do that or not. And then we'd have to make a budget amendment at that time. So a couple public works items. Last time when Jesse was here, he didn't get to a couple things because we had a tree discussion. But Seton Hall residential pump is installed and functioning properly. The fire suppression pump is still to come in yet, but that's not affecting the residents' daily usage. And as the mayor mentioned, the Washington Street project is on schedule, and they project it to be on schedule as long as there are no rain delays. And to expound also on the heat and the electric and natural gas usage. If people have not seen, they can go and look at the city's Facebook posting this afternoon. That is a notice saying that MOPEP, the electric cooperative, has sent out an email today to all the members urging us to encourage all the customers to conserve, especially during the peak hours of 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. This week, and any days that the temperature's over like 95. And that will save money not only for them, but it'll help the city save money as well and keep us from the need of raising rates. So if everybody conserves and pulls together. They're not fearing, like there are some other places that they're already projecting like rolling blackouts and things. They think that our region will be safe from that as long as everybody does their part. So it might be worth just mentioning again that with the Pretium plant closing, that upon having received that information of the unfortunate news that they would be closing for certain, I had immediately reached out to MRPC, which they have a branch or a subsidiary called the Gasconade Valley Enterprise Zone, which we affectionately call GVEZ. It's 3 counties. It's Gasconade and Marys and Osage, I believe. They keep a registry of available manufacturing facilities and sites in our region, and they will try to help us solicit a business to this area. What they do is they try to match up the needs of companies with existing facilities and try to find good fits for communities. So they will be helping us with that, as well as we will have a meeting with MRPC later in the month to discuss available resources that they and or the EDA have that could be helpful to us. We know that a plant closing like this trickles down in various ways and affects many people and businesses. So we will certainly find any resources that we can on that. I think everything else I pretty much said. In the workshop, I mentioned the airport grant that we were looking at doing the alternates, which would be the whole complete project, which would really be wonderful to have. The Airport Commission is very excited about the prospect of having an upgraded airport, as well as the fact that it then can really market it. It makes it easier for business people to fly in, for tourist people to fly in. It opens up more opportunities, so that will be great for everybody. And I made mention also of the new natural gas grant that we've become aware of and will be working diligently this month. MRPC is going to help us facilitate that as well. And the last thing I would make note of is that the city will be closed Monday, June 20th, which is Juneteenth observed for the mayor's discretionary holiday. Thank you.
Okay. We have no public comments, right? Okay, we'll move on to ordinances.
All right, so the first on the agenda is the food truck ordinance, and I'm going to go ahead and commit to having that on the 27th. Just another email came today from the Gascadee County Health Department as we sort of clarify what the inspection expectations are and what they're going to require in terms of allowing these things to operate. So that's a work in progress. And so we can go on then to bill number 2022-25 for second reading, and ordinance authorizing the execution of a lease between the city as lessor and Todd Lansing as lessee.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
I move Bill 2022-25, second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-27, which would be an ordinance to revise Herman Municipal Code Section 710.020 sewer service rates.
So this is what we had been talking about in the budget workshops, and that is every year, prior boards have agreed to address wastewater rates at the same time as we're addressing the budget. And if we would make small incremental raises, it would keep a board from having to make the painful decision of making one big jump at a time. So that's what we've been doing in the last several years. And the whole purpose of doing this is we have a wastewater bond, and we have to have enough revenue to meet our bond rate covenant. And so when I crunched all the numbers this year, we needed an additional $50,000 in revenue. So these changes will accomplish that. It'll raise the per gallon rate from 0.0044 to 0.0048, and it will raise the service charge on the flat fee from $25.25 to $26.75. And on a very broad view, a really rough average per residence, varies widely based on usage, but the average would be about $2.58 a month per average household. And those numbers are worked into our budget numbers.
Any discussion? If not, do you have a motion?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-27.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
A second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-28, an ordinance providing for the budget for the city of Herman, Missouri for fiscal year 2022-2023, and establishing a salary schedule for officers and employees of the city of Herman, Missouri for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Okay, so the only little change we made was that one in the carryover balance I was telling you about, that I had missed one of those larger bills. So if you can just approve that with that one amendment.
I have a motion to approve.
I have a question first. How many hours a week do these people work?
How many hours do what?
Do they work per week? I mean, are they limited in the amount of hours?
Who?
Like that bill with Mary Kunzman?
She's on the next one.
Oh, Bruce, yeah, she's
Oh, did
on.
I skip one? I skipped one, I'm sorry. We're talking about the city, but I'm good.
All right, we're trying to, okay, do I have a motion to approve the budget? Ordinance for the budget. All right, you did make a motion, didn't you? No?
That was the last.
I'm confused. But anyway, can
I-
I have a motion?
I motion for the last bill.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So carried. Sorry about that. Confusion.
Next is bill number 2022-29, an ordinance to approve a municipal services contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Mary Kunstman doing business as the computer lady. There was some discussion between Tricia and I about this one and the next one and the need to have another ordinance. It was approved by ordinance initially, and it's time to renew it. And do we just renew it? But we figured it wouldn't hurt to put it before you guys again, so the questions like Susan's could be asked, so here it is.
And Susan, so in your, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, in your packet, the very last page, I'm sorry, it's usually towards the top, but this time it's the very last page, attached to Mary, the ordinance for Mary. There's a memo from Tammy stating about the hours, and it's 22 hours
Okay,
per
I found
week.
it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any discussion? If not, have a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-30, an ordinance to approve a municipal services contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Jennifer Davis for marketing and website services.
Any discussion on this? If not, motion please.
Motion to
I move to approve.
Do what? Oh, you made a motion? Okay, she second.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
All right, next is bill number 2022-31, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and K.E. Butterfield LLC to provide blog and content writers services.
Any discussion on this?
I do have one question, and I think it's a great idea. I love it. How many hours are we anticipating? Forget her name, but how many hours a year are we anticipating the contractor for?
So Karen's are not really by hours, but she does by project. So the way she bid it to us, or the way we bid it, asked to be bid to was by project. So how much a blog would be, how much like a press release would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
So she's getting $75 an hour, and then the total is $6,000 for the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2022-31.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
The next is bill number 2022-32, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Destination Services LLC to conduct a feasibility study for a hotel in Herman.
Okay, any discussion on this?
I have a question. This is all coming out of the tourism budget, the $12,000.
That was my recommendation, but it's up to the board.
Well, I would like to potentially amend this. As reading through the proposal from Destination Services, one of the add-on features is an economic impact analysis, and I understand we already have in our possession visitor profile research that, you know, for $8,000, I believe that could be a very valuable tool for the city to potentially attract investments in housing, potential new businesses. And I don't necessarily think that needs to come out of tourism, potentially economic development that we did allocate some money for. But I think that's a great add-on to the study for a hotel.
So the initial costs come out of tourism and then the additional come out of general revenue? Is that what you're suggesting?
We allocate, I believe, $20,000 to economic development. That potentially $8,000 of that, of the add-on for the,
Oh, gotcha, okay.
yeah, could come out of that.
You understand that, Richard?
Yeah, I sure do. And that would be absolutely fine, but I can tell you that we did call Destination Services, and they will honor if we're not prepared to make a decision tonight, they will honor the add-on discounted rate for 6 months.
so we don't have to make
We
it
don't have to
initially.
decide tonight.
So it makes
Why
sense.
wouldn't we make it tonight?
Because we could be not happy with the hotel feasibility study.
Correct.
And if we're not happy with it, I would say we take the 6 months to see how that comes in.
But how long will they honor that?
6 months.
6 months, okay.
And that 8,000 is locked in for the add-on.
Yes,
for the-
that's correct, Becky.
Well, then in that case, I say we approve this and wait to see what the results are from the hotel feasibility study.
Okay.
Only thing I'll add on, and I think most of you know where I stand at, I was contacted by couple dozen citizens. And if we're taking the bulk of this to tourism, that's kind of a fine line there, but the citizens, nobody actually rejected the hotel, but they voiced not to spend their tax dollars. So looking forward, if we go into this economic thing, I will still voice the same thing. The citizens don't want their tax dollars spent. And then the other thing reading through that too is, I know right now I guess all irons are put in the barrel for cobblestone. And it is mentioned that Cobblestone actually does not recommend this company that is proposed.
That wording may have been poor. Maybe we should say that it's
Whoops.
not one that, it's not that Cobblestone is not recommending it. They're not one that they suggested to us as people that maybe use. Because they had said, hey, here are several companies that we've done studies on us before, just start your search for proposals. We specifically went out and looked for a company that had not worked with Cobblestone because we had heard 3 or 4 voices that said they thought a different company would be unbiased. So that was the thought process.
But it's in here, it says that Mr. Paul, and I guess he's the reference for its destination services, that Mr. Paul's proposal was not the lowest bid. However, he was not recommended by Cobblestone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's poorly worded.
Yeah.
But I have to go by what I'm.
No, do you want to come, Tammy? You
Yeah,
wrote that.
when I was typing it, I didn't mean it like that. Just like Tricia said, they were not a company that were suggested to us, let's say it that way. Maybe they, by Cobblestone.
So my consideration there is that if we move forward with this company, and if we continue with Cobblestone, Cobblestone says, I won't pay attention to that feasibility. Now you go with my company or we're out of the picture.
I did follow up with Chris from Cobblestone to ask him if, he would accept another company's feasibility study. And he said as long as it hits the marks of what we've asked for.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
some of my concern. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we spent $10,000-$12,000 and I know there's other hotels available than Cobblestone, that, we may approach different hotel chains
Right.
that would say, yes, let us come in and study it, because I think if a business wants to come to town, that's their responsibility. The city, tourism, chamber, whatnot shouldn't have to front that money.
And not in all cases. So just like one of our tourism commission members, he comes to us from the St. Louis area. He was on an industrial development board from his area, and McAllister's Deli wanted to come to their town. And the city put up the money to do the feasibility study, and they didn't exactly get the report they wanted. So it's not uncommon for companies to ask cities to do this, to do a feasibility study.
But that was my push from citizens out of both wards. And also we had heard at HRED, they've never came behind us. I know now that Melissa, the executive director of Chamber, has said that they would support it if it included fast foods, housing, and jobs. That's what was printed in the Herman paper.
Was that her personal opinion, or was that the actual opinion of the entire chamber board?
That was her. The chamber board was not mentioned. This was strictly Melissa's.
Okay,
Because the last I heard, the chamber board wouldn't go one way or the other. Because this, I read it, I went, wow, okay, Melissa's standing up for what the board wants to do, but nothing was said about the chamber board. So it's just my concerns there that, you know, I'm not against a hotel. I'm really not against the feasibility if we don't spend the taxpayers' dollars. If we're gonna spend the taxpayers' dollars, I'll have to vote no.
are you, when you say taxpayers' dollars, are
General
you saying
fund.
general fund?
Anything, any department that gets money out of the general fund, tourism, that's not out of the general fund. I think it could help the city, it's a good growing point, and tourism possibly would, well, not possibly, they would benefit more than the city on taxes, twice as much. Because tourism gets 5%, the city gets 2 7/8. So just based upon the tax revenue, tourism would come out a little bit better.
It's a plus for all of us.
Yeah, it
If
could be a
it
plus.
becomes a plus.
That's why that economic development, that economic study would show the trickle out, and I think those numbers would be phenomenal.
But the next, if we go ahead and move with this, then we have to contact a hotel motel. Then I noticed that they're gonna come and look at the sites. What sites? You know, I've asked before and I've really never got an answer that accordingly there's 15 sites. It's
Possible sites.
possible
I don't know
sites.
that that's a hard and fast number. So that was Tammy and I's brainstorming session. Chris from Cobblestone had asked us just to come, he wanted to know that there were potential places for a hotel. And so we just kind of spitballing some things. Some are kind of obvious. I can give you a list after the meeting. And some of them were us just daydreaming about, oh, wouldn't this be a great site? I wonder if they'd sell for the right price. But you know, there's some pretty obvious places you can think in your mind where there's like site-ready places for a hotel, and those are the ones, you know, that we'll be suggesting. But of course, the investors will be the ones who, you know, maybe a property owner would be the one who would want to be the investor. It's like, hey, I have this great place for a hotel. I want to be the investor or one of the investors. So those kind of things are options. It's very exciting, and we're anxious to get it going. The time frame on this was only like, he was willing to start like next week.
Yeah,
And
so he said he can't come to town this week, but he could come to town next week already to get the process started.
So if Cobblestone decides to come here, then they're reimbursing the city for the cost of the study, is that my understanding?
Right, it would be worked into the agreement with the LLC. That would be franchising.
Have you seen anything in any of the documents to the effect that if they do that, then the study becomes their property and we can't share it with other potential hotels if they want to? If they're
It's our
wanting to-
property. It's our property.
And we have a contact which we just haven't connected with yet. Somebody gave us a contact of, turns out to be a friend of theirs, who actually is an owner, an investor in a Cobblestone in Iowa. And so we're really anxious just to, you know, pick their brain. This mutual contact said that that person was, thought it was going really well and had nothing but good things to say, said the whole feasibility study, it was all legit. And so we have a good, somebody we know knows somebody, so that'll be interesting for them too.
Because the other side of the note is too here, as it's written here, and this feasibility, and I know Tricia kind of cleared me in, this feasibility study, I know in past we talked about, well, we could use it for other things. But to include, say, like what Ash was talking about, the economic side of it, it costs more money. So this will be only good. To me, I think the numbers would be the same across the board. Because they're going to look at population, industry, medium income, and all this that's spelled out. But now if we come back and say we want the economic part, that's 8,000. If we want to look at industrial or housing, that could be another 8,000. So this could be an on-rolling ball of expense. And moving forward, then that's going to grow into general revenue. Unless tourism wants to foot that bill. That's just some of my concerns that I have out there.
I mean, that would be your all's decisions, and maybe, maybe another organization in the city would wanna, you know, pick up and do, since we're doing, putting the bill for this large study, maybe one of the other organizations, we're like, hey, we'll pick up one of these smaller ones, you know, the chamber, maybe they're interested in the economic one, you know, those are things we can discuss.
But I know what Melissa said, but that was verbal, there's no monetary support, which been nice if they would say, hey, yeah, we can chip in X number of dollars.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, entertain a motion.
I move bill to approve bill number 2022-32.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Do we need to do this a second
You'll
time
do it
since
twice,
we're under
you
a
get-
time frame?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Would you read again, please?
Bill number 2022-32, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Destination Services LLC to conduct a feasibility study for a hotel in Herman.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve second read?
I move to approve bill number 2022-32, the second read.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-33, an ordinance to amend sections 220-190, 220-200, 220-210, and 220-220 of the municipal code, and prescribing a schedule of rates for refuse container leases for garbage and refuse collection, for billing and collection services by the city, for recycling charges, and for maintenance.
Any discussion? This is what we talked about during the budget. If not, motion please. Motion to approve.
I'm sorry, this was for a 1-year agreement, correct?
Yes, it's, with Tri-County, that's right, with their, built-in to our contract already, the 4%.
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-33.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion's made and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Does that have to be read twice too?
Let's do it at a separate meeting.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, before we get into the next ordinance, I wanted to make a statement and have our police chief come in. This curfew ordinance is coming up, has to do with the state, but here in Herman, we're having a little difficulty with some of the teenagers and kids on the parking lots, and the police are trying to do their job and enforce different laws that we have. And anyway, I'm going to let Chief Walker address the issue.
Thank you. Like I said, with the new curfew laws, the state changed the adult age in the state of Missouri from 17 to 18. That went into effect first part of the year, so we kind of overlooked that with our curfew law. That's why it's being changed now, that it's now state of Missouri, you're 18 and not 17 as an adult. So we had to revise those changes, not to pick on the kids or anything, but that's the state law now. So with that being said, we have had issues with not all kids, but just a handful, with certain things in the parking and, you know, things that we have to enforce. And, you know, we've had complaints from parents that we're picking on their kids, which is not the case. I don't run a ship that way. I've raised my kids in this community. I know it's a small community, there's not much for them to do. You know, we've overlooked a lot of things to let the kids kind of do their thing until we get, they get our attention, then we have to deal with it. You know, the burning of tires, tearing up city property. You know, the Engelman lot was a big one. We let them hang there for a while until things got out of control. You know, tearing up signs, leaving trash, doing burnouts, using foul language. That's why there's signs posted now, no loitering. So, you know, some people think that's wrong or we're picking on them, but that's how it is. You know, a few one for everybody. The same with City Park. The kids are allowed to park in the park. There's curfew hours posted, or park hours posted in the Riverfront Park, City Park. Kids are allowed to park there. as long as they obey the laws and not disturbing the peace or using foul language and burning out tires and playing loud music. And, you know, people pay to camp there, they don't want to hear that all night. So if we get a call, we have to come down and address it. It's not like we're just looking to go pick on them. We have other things to deal with in Herman. I'm dealing with a small staff right now, 4 guys total, including myself. So we're trying to cover 24 hours with 1 guy shift. So last thing we want to do is be out looking for kids to pick on. With that being said, you know, we have kids that are cursing at us as we drive by them, you know, just doing a job. We drive by, they're, you know, dropping an F-bomb and calling us idiots and everything else, and, you know, we're just out doing a job. But, you know, I'm not going to tolerate that as the chief, and I don't raise my kids to speak that way to anybody, and I'm not going to let anybody else's kids speak to me or my officers that way. So it starts at home. Our parents have to understand that you know, the kids have a responsibility also. It's time for them to grow up. You have the right to drive a vehicle. It's a privilege, but you know, if you're out in city parks and anything, you need to behave, because we're not going to deal with saying there's nothing to do and I can do what I want to do. It's just not going to happen. And if parents have a problem with that or want an issue, they're free to call me at my office or come by. I'll speak to any of them, but there's rules to be followed, and they have to start doing it. They're old enough to know better. So, if anybody has any questions or anything?
Can I just say that I had a conversation with the officer who works the night shift most of the times, and I was appalled at the things he told me that some of those teenagers say and do to our officers. I was absolutely shocked. And so even with that, I kudos to our officers who can keep, because I was getting angry with just him telling me about it, and for them to be able to keep their composure under situations like that, I give them a lot of props for that. So yes, our officers are dealing with a whole lot, and he assured me that if they're just hanging out, you know, they let them do that as long as it's under the curfew and they're not causing problems. They will let them hang out peaceably and not chase them off. It's only when, and it only takes, you know, just a couple bad apples, you know, to ruin it for everybody. And unfortunately, that seems to be what's happening. So we know that the bulk of our young people are good, upstanding citizens, and we want to see them be able to have fun on the weekends. But, you know, it's just those couple that seem to be causing issues, and it's unfortunate.
It just seems we have a wave every so many years. We have a group come along that just, I don't care what you tell them, they're not going to listen to you. They want to do, and just disrespectful. And you have a couple years of great kids. And Herman, I mean, we have good kids in this community. We have great kids, and you know, for the most part, we overlook a lot of stuff because we know there's just, it's a small town America. They have not much to do, so they're out cruising, whatever. But you know, teenage boys are going to do things with their cars and want to burn out and show off. That's part of it. But there's things they just have to learn, that they're old enough to know better. You know, knock off certain things, and they're not going to get our attention. But if you do, we have to do our job and do what we have to do. And that's just how it is. So, anything else?
Have any questions for the chief?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, now we'll move on to the next ordinance.
All right. So bill number 2022-34, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code sections 215-1970 and 215-1980 regarding curfews.
We just heard his talk. Can I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve ordinance of bill number 2022-34.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried. Do we, Chief, does that need to be read a second time so that's in effect by the state law? Should we do that?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt us to
Okay. Please read the second time.
Bill number 2022-34, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code sections 215-1970 and 215-1980 regarding curfews.
Okay. I need a motion for second read.
Make a motion that bill number 2022-34 second read.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? So carried. Excuse me.
Also, once that, I'll make sure to post that on our Facebook page and give a copy to the paper with the curfew hours and everything, that way the parents know what the hours are for their age of their kids and stuff, so there's no kind of issue they didn't know, so to make sure all that's available too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue.
Next is bill number 2022-35, an ordinance to approve a re-subdivision of lots 4 and 6 on East Fifth Street. Application by Rich Flower, and you've got a copy of the proposed revised plat survey here, and this was approved by planning and zoning, and the city's surveying and engineering firm said that it meets the requirements.
Okay, any questions, discussion? No? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to
I move
approve.
to approve bill number 2022-35.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So carried. Okay, we'll move on to, excuse me, resolutions.
Is that, I'm sorry, before we move on, is that time sensitive? Is he, I think it is. Rich,
Do it.
that's time sensitive. You want to get rolling, correct?
Yes,
Let's do it again.
Do it again, okay.
All right, second reading, bill number 2022-35,
Thank you.
an ordinance to approve a re-subdivision of lots 4 and 6 on East Fifth Street.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-35, second read.
Motion's been made, second.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So carried. Now we'll move to resolutions.
All right, the first resolution is number 1319. A resolution authorizing Patricia Haney, City Administrator, to execute and submit an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources Financial Assistance Center's State ARPA Grant Program.
We've done a couple of these before, but they were in regard to the engineering grant, and now this is for the ARPA grant itself.
Okay. Any other question? If not, I have a motion to approve resolution 1319.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? No. So carried.
Next is resolution number 1320, a resolution to approve a job description for tourism marketing specialists.
Any questions, discussion on that? If not, I have a motion to approve.
I move to approve resolution number 1320.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, we'll move on to old business. Under old business, we have the occupancy permit, the building permit fees. I don't know if anybody wants to discuss that anymore. We kept it on the table here to, we never really made any decisions, so. Any discussion?
I think we need to have Mr. Fleach look at it and show us what it would be, what it would involve.
Okay. Anybody else?
Are you talking, Susan, are you talking about the occupancy permits or the building fee permit, or the
Yes.
building permit?
Which
The
one or
occupancy,
both?
the occupancy permits and the building permit fees, we had talked about those are low, and raising those.
Yeah, I think Mike mentioned last time I had a recommendation we increase
Right, he
those
did.
fees.
So I'm not clear on what she's needing.
She wants clarification on the rates and so forth.
Okay, so he provided us some samples at the last meeting. Do
Right.
you want to see those again?
Yes.
And are we talking about the building fees strictly, is that what you want to, we're addressing, or both?
Susan, do you want to see an occupancy permit, like sample?
Yes, yeah, I mean, we've seen, Owensville's and New Haven's, but I'd like to see what a tentative one would look like for us. Because I think that will certify that the property is fit to live in, that it meets health and safety codes, and ensures that the building is suitable to live in or work in. And also for fire inspections, and that was part of both those for carbon monoxide and smoke detectors.
Okay, so I guess we need him to come back and talk to us one more time then?
I don't know if he needs to come back and talk to us, maybe if he works with New Havens a lot, if he wants to start with that and take his pen out and mark it up and get us on paper.
Okay,
what
that's
he
fine.
would- Yeah, what he would propose. Sometimes I start with the first drafts of these things, but it's probably appropriate for him to do it on this one,
Okay.
since he's doing the work.
Yeah,
Go from
might,
there.
might do a draft of a occupancy inspection worksheet. And then also if we can revisit what his proposal was, where he had done, I think, Sullivan, St. Clair, New Haven,
For the rates?
for the rates for building permits and occupancy permits, and how Herman was the lowest across the board. If we could see those again, shame on me, I didn't save them or don't have them
Yeah.
memorized.
Okay. You want to contact him and have him take care of that then? Is there any other old business?
Where are we at on the 69 volt lines?
Easements being sent to Central tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
You hear that?
Yes, awesome.
Okay. Any other old business? If not, new business. If no new business, we'll move to motions. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Motion
I
approved
move to
minutes.
approve the minutes.
There must be a slight
Like
delay.
Motion's been made. Would you second it?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Sure.
Okay, invoices for payment.
I move we pay the bills.
We have a motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
Second?
Motion's made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Conditional use permit renewal, Right Place Rentals LLC, Valerie Wright, 215 East 5th Street, owner unoccupied guest house.
So if I may, the first page here has the checklist that you're used to seeing. Right Place Rentals has since received and passed her inspection, so we can consider that for a vote tonight. The other one, the Missouri Vacation Rentals, they were not able to connect with the ordinance enforcement officer and get their inspection. So if we could pass that one on to the last June meeting, that would be great.
Both of them?
No, if we could postpone Missouri Vacation Rentals, and you are good to vote on item C there for Right Place Rentals.
That's the one down by the amphitheater, isn't it?
Yes.
It's up for sale.
Oh,
Another one
there
here.
you have any questions for her?
Any questions for her?
Thank you for coming.
So we want to go ahead and vote on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make motion to approve.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
So we're skipping Missouri vacation rental. Okay, item E, hire Lauren Cloppy as a tourist service assistant. Any discussion or questions? For Tammy? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve to hire Lauren Floppy.
Motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
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 So approved. Ratify approval of caterer's permit for Adam Gupta, KT 82 event at the amphitheater, June 11th.
This is one that I had emailed you about, and just to make a good paper trail, I thought we'd have you all vote on it tonight.
Okay. It's like, we,
We have a motion?
Motion to ratify.
Yep.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So carried. No other business, I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. BOA.
Motion made, do I have a second?
I so second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening and be safe out there.
Stay cool.
And cool.
Change my thermostat.
Bye, guys.
Raise it to 75 because
Yeah, so, he